Welcome back to Steele and Vance. I have been so excited about this next segment because even before this show went on the air, this is episode 8, I got a text from our next guest saying, I'm going to be in town. I'll come on.
Yeah, and then I thought, Brian Burke? I'm a little bit afraid of Brian Burke. I mean, look at this guy. He's done everything. He's so accomplished. You've known him for a long time. I have tried really, really hard to fall in love with the Canucks, and that's a process for me. But I'm a hockey fan, and Hockey Canada's been a giant you-know-what lately. So I thought, wow, who better to find out all things hockey and the business of hockey than having Brian Burke on the show.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for making time
to
join us. Appreciate it. Can we start with Hockey Canada? Because it's sort of like a hot mess right now. What do you think?
Well, first off, I think when you deal with as many teams as Hockey Canada does, so they'll send 20 teams every year to different tournaments, World Junior, World Championships. And I was involved with a lot of those teams with Team USA. So you're around 20 players, 5 coaches and 3 trainers. There's a big group traveling, and you're going to have situations that occur from time to time that you'd rather didn't happen. Now, my rule on it is we're going to get to the bottom of everything. Every team that we have a problem. Our rule is USA Hockey was, we're going to get to the bottom of everything. We're going to find out what happened. Once we find out what happened, we're going to act appropriately. It means get rid of people, do whatever. But the notion that you say it's a hot mess, and I think that's a fair way people think about it right now. But it's actually, considering the number of teams they run through and do, I think Hockey Canada has done a really good job with some notable errors that have to be fixed.
But and I think that's the piece, though, is you say the accountability part is what's lacking here. I mean, from the perspective of this sports journalist and a woman in the industry who loves the sport, loves it. It's a black eye right now because we're hearing about things from years gone by, and the level of, you're a lawyer. The NDA piece is really a tough one to swallow.
There's parts of this that would be handled differently, you would hope, from the very start. Non-disclosure agreements, lawsuits, settlements. You would hope that that's not dealt with. If there's something that was done wrong, then deal with the players involved, deal with the staff involved, fix it, make it go away, fix it. Not make it go away, like sweep it under the rug. Fix it. Punish the people involved. But I think overall, there's a perception right now that Hockey Canada has no authority. They're not really in charge. They need a whole new slate, which they're going to have. And I think there's a lot of good that's been done by Hockey Canada at the same time. I'm not one of the alarmists.
But what about the whole idea of toxic behavior, toxic masculinity, boys will be boys? I mean, there have been millions of dollars paid out to alleged victims of sexual assault from various juniors teams. Is there a problem in hockey? Is the culture toxic?
I think I would say this. It sounds like a lawyer's answer, but I'm not answering like a lawyer. I would say there's issues for sure that have to be dealt with. And when they happen, you've got to find out what happened and then punish the people involved, fire people involved if you have to, deal with it and move on. So do I think there's a toxic culture? Of the last 20 teams that ran through, men and women in Team Canada, last 20 teams, there's been one problem I've heard about. These allegations are from 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So in general, no, I think we have the same issue with USA Hockey. We take teams over there all the time. We've got to talk to the players about, here's how we behave as a team. Here's what will happen if you don't behave as a team.
Right.
And touch wood, we didn't have any problems like that. But the fact of the matter is, they've got to clean some stuff up, but it's not all bad. I think the perception is that everything is a mess, and it's not. It's not that way.
There's some serious anger there for sure that needs to be addressed. I want to switch gears, if I may, a little bit, because you have made great strides in creating a more inclusive culture in sport overall, but specific to hockey. And I don't know, Derek, do we have the photo of there it is?
Yeah, that's Pride Day for the Penguins, and we marched in the Pride Parade. It was the first time the Penguins have been involved. We did it last year again. Last year, the Steelers sent representation. The Pirates sent representation. So just in Pittsburgh, we've made some great strides in that area. But I used to say this to our guys. Our team pictures look all the same from when I played. It's all white guys. It's all old guys.
Yeah.
You look at a team picture of the Vancouver Canucks. There's Brian Burke. There's Pat Quinn. There's all white guys, and no women and no people of color. And we've got to fix that. We've got to change that. We've taken dramatic steps towards changing with our organization. So have all the other teams. The league's mandating it, and I like the fact that we are taking a new direction and being more inclusive and more diverse. And we consider ourselves groundbreakers in that regard. We're going to keep going on that path, no question.
But we still hear stories about players of color being bullied and mocked and racial epithets thrown off on the ice. I mean, what the hell is wrong with people? It's 2022. Why is that even still a part of the NHL?
It's not. It's a part of minor hockey more than the NHL. In the NHL, if you use a racial slur, you get suspended. So the accountability is at youth hockey level. Like if you watch the documentary that they recently did called Black Ice, and
it was unbelievable.
We went to the screening at TIFF, and it was unbelievable. But they're talking about bantam-age kids, midget-age kids.
12-year-olds.
12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And so that's the culture. I don't know what parent would let their kids do that.
Right.
But if they hear it, if they hear it, and there's a witness to it, they act swiftly. Like not every time. Like somebody's pointed out, the one young man, the goalie, he was attacked verbally and nothing happened.
Yeah.
But that's an aberration. I know in Toronto, they act swiftly on it if they can verify it. So we've come so far, and this is what I hate, Lyndon. You know, you're talking about these are all legitimate cases you're bringing up. But there's 10,000 kids or 20,000 kids that played hockey in the GTHL last year, and how many incidents do you have? A couple hundred? Way too many. Way too many. I am not saying this is fine. Why are you making noise about this?
Yeah.
We've got to go after every one of those incidents until we get to a complete, diverse, inclusive community. And we haven't done a good enough job, but overall the experience is pretty good when you're a hockey player.
I had the opportunity to attend Black Ice, the screening at the Vancouver International Film Festival with Scott Moore and his wife Becky and the team behind that documentary. It's LeBron James and Drake and that uninterrupted crew. And as a parent, I walked out of that screening feeling like this should be mandatory viewing for every young hockey player.
I agree. I felt the same way, and I think that the notion that that's still allowed to take place, to me, is incredible in this day and age.
Yeah.
In 2022, that you can use those words and get away with it. In the NHL, you use those words, you get suspended.
Yeah, swift
It's
and meaningful
disgusting.
consequences, right?
You're right. He's an amazing
We
interview.
we break. We got to go to
Brian
break.
Burke. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Canucks' horrible start to the season, winless in 7 as we're speaking right now. Some people blame the players, some people blame management, some people say get rid of the owners, change the ownership.
Rebuild.
What does Brian Burke think? We're going to find out next.